Hi everyone, welcome to Open Meeting, and today we're starting a new segment called World Headquarter News Insider. And what this allows us to do is to dive a little bit into some of the brand stories behind our products, behind some of the things, the names that you know in the Amway business. And so right now we have a report from Chris Coops, who was just visiting our Nutrilite farms on El Patical, Mexico. Chris, tell us about your adventures.
Absolutely. Thanks, Doug. Great to be here. As Doug mentioned, I recently had the chance to travel to Rancho El Patical, one of the Nutrilite certified organic farms in Jalisco, Mexico. What you're looking at here is a custom seed crew that was hand-selected to plant seeds by hand, literally. As you can see, these folks have a very special skill. They're highly trained to select just one or perhaps two of these tiny seeds and place them in the 1 cubic centimeter partitions in this starter tray. If it were you or me, we might lose track or throw a bunch of seeds at once or get so sick of the process we couldn't continue. But these folks are excellent at what they do. Once one of these starter trays is filled up, it's topped with a rich layer of fine topsoil, and then the starter trays are put into Nutrilite nurseries or greenhouses, where they are given exactly the right amount of water through a special watering rig at exactly the right humidity and temperature and for just the right time. So after a few weeks, the seedlings are transplanted out into the open field, and once they reach maturity, believe it or not, these crops are then harvested by hand. Every broccoli floret, every spinach and watercress plant, hand harvested, loaded into containers, and then brought in from the fields for processing. But every step of the way, there are safety and quality checks in place. Next, the product heads into the dehydration plant, where it's chopped and carefully dried, then it's on to heat treatment, in most cases, where it's heated to the optimal temperature to activate the botanicals inside, making them as effective as possible. From heat treatment, they move on to milling, where the product is then very carefully turned into fine particles, and that product is then stored in giant super sacks, as they're called, before they're sent out on trucks to manufacturing centers in the U.S. So, Doug, as you can see, just an absolutely perfect example of that Nutrilite seed to supplement story.
Well, fantastic. And talk a little bit about what traceability means. Help us understand that one a little bit more.
Absolutely. So traceability, basically, where do the products we buy come from? Where does our food come from, our supplements? At this farm, they can track that all the way back to that seed crew that you saw there. They buy the seeds from an organic source. They know who was in the crew that planted those and on which day and at what time of day, who brought them into the greenhouse, how long they were in the greenhouse. Then when it comes time for transplant to the open field, they know which crew transplanted them at what time on which day into which hectare. And that data is transferred with that product all the way through the process, through dehydration, through heat treatment, all the way into that finished granular, very fine particulate product that heads out the door to manufacturing.
Wow.
Every step of the way.
Wow, manufacturing. That's just magnificent. Not manufacturing, it's magnificent. The whole process, and what a benefit it is for you and for all of us that Nutrilite has that care. That's what really sets Nutrilite apart. Nobody else can match that sort of detail and that sort of thought.
Wonderful to see it in person, too. Just such a great example.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's our WHQ News Insider story. Chris, thank you very much for your report. Thanks for being part of it, for bringing that story back to us. And so that wraps up this segment. We'll see you soon.